What's going on, comic book fans out there on YouTube? It's BDG Comics, and today I'm bringing you my week in review for last week's new comic book day. That was May 25th, 2022. And in this video, I'm going to rank my comics. I'm going to start off with about 5 or 6 kind of honorable mention comics, and then I'm going to go start at number 10 and do my top 10. So this week I did read 16 comics, and the first one I'm going to talk about, but I don't want to include in any kind of rankings or anything, is Image number 2. So Image number 2, it was an anthology series, or it's an anthology series celebrating Image's 30th anniversary. Basically, it collects several short story comics. I gotta say the highlight so far of this one is Jeff Johns' Blizzard. He's doing, I believe, one for all 12 issues. They're doing one issue for the month, or for each month for a year, their 30th anniversary year. Jeff Johns is doing an ongoing called Blizzard, and it's about this guy who basically took matters into his own hands. He murdered the man who killed his son, who murdered his son. It was a serial killer, and he had a bunch of murders, all kids, I guess, and he took matters into his own hands and, murdered that guy. There's a trial about him, and he got sent to prison. In this issue, on the bus ride, their bus crashed, and there's like a Wendigo, like Yeti monster in the snow. At least he saw it, but nobody else saw it. Interested to see where that goes. There was an Ice Cream Man story that is very, very realistic. Just spoke a lot about life in general and depression, and that was interesting. Gospel for a New Country. I don't really understand what's going on with that one. The art is very confusing. It seems it's at least interesting. And then you have Kyle Higgins is writing a story in there called Shift, and that's based on, the Radiant Black universe, based on this character named Shift. His suit absorbs powers from, the other Radiant suits. Definitely interesting. Definitely not as good as Radiant Black or Rogue Sun, in my opinion. It almost feels like forced. Like the issue is very forced, or the story itself is very forced for that character. I don't know if a standalone would work very well, but maybe that's why they put them in here. So they only had to do like little short stories instead of having a full-blown, 28-page comic or what have you. Other than that, the stories in here were mostly forgettable, in my opinion, but it was an okay issue. It's really hard to add that to any kind of rankings just because it's its own thing and it's an anthology. For that reason, I am not going to rank it. And then let's get into our honorable mentions. Alright, our first honorable mention, I have Legion of X number 1. For this one, it's a Cy Spurrier book, so I had some hopes for it, but at the same time, it's a new Modern X title, so it's kind of like a convoluted, oversaturated market. To be honest, the characters didn't interest me that much, other than, obviously, the Juggernaut. Nightcrawler's interesting, but I don't know if he's enough to carry his own book like this. But either way, I'm sure some people will really like this. It just wasn't for me. So the art was really good. Pretty much the book is carried by the art and the coloring. I don't really have any kind of review on the story or the plot or anything. Like, it was very boring, and I feel like maybe I fell asleep during it, but yeah, it was not exciting for me. I was bored the whole time. Our next honorable mention is Radiant Red, and I believe this is issue number 3. Yes, it is. It's issue number 3 for Radiant Red. I still hate the art. It's very it's very 2010s Nickelodeon cartoon. Not quite Adventure Time bad, but like a step up from Adventure Time, whatever that would be. It's very, very cartoony. Everything is very rounded, and there's not a lot of detail. Just not a fan. Like, if you can see in this cover, that little doll on the bottom left corner of the art, there's like a little doll missing an arm, almost looks like a Lego piece. That little Lego piece is kind of what the art looks like in the interior art. It's very just overly cartoony and rounded and not very good. Other than that, the character beats are awesome. Like, I really do like Satomi, the main character of you know, the character who is Radiant Red. I like the stuff with her family, and I like the stuff with her husband. It's all pretty good. It's all compelling and interesting, but I would rather read like a couple paragraphs about what happened in an issue than have to look at this whole book. I just can't bring myself to spend $4 for this book with that art. It's not good. And I don't really like Shift either. And he's like kind of being set up as the main sort of antagonist. He's like an antagonist, but at the same time, Satomi's kind of like joining up with him or something. I'm not sure. Yeah, not a big fan. And I'll probably keep reading it because it's Radiant Black universe. And I think there's only 5 issues. So I'll probably keep reading it, but I don't know how I feel about picking up physical copies of it. All right, and next up, we have, for an honorable mention, The Amazing Spider-Man #2. This is a variant, and I don't think I need to explain myself for picking up a variant here. The main cover was pretty bad. It just had Peter and MJ standing in a rainstorm, like with their backs to each other, and MJ's not even in the book. So I don't know why they did that with the main cover, but overall, I have to say it's an okay issue. Sort of like the first one, but maybe a little bit better than the first one. I still do not like the John Romita Jr. I don't like his artwork. It's just weird. It's not even that it's bad or that it's amazing or unique. It's just weird, man. I don't know. And there was a couple times in this issue where they skipped some parts that I really wanted to get more on. There's a part where Peter has to babysit Norman Osborn's kids. They completely skipped the whole babysitting thing. Like, it happens, and then in the next panel, it's over. And you get some of the aftermath of it, which it's okay, and I understand, especially with all the comics that we've had recently of people just like sitting around talking and eating. I can kind of understand why they would choose to skip it, but at the same time, like, it seemed like it was more important than just like sitting around talking exposition stuff. Just because it was like a mundane task, yet Peter was super excited before he found out what the task was. He was super excited to get that task or to get a job from Norman, and then turns out to be babysitting. I don't know. I wish we would have seen at least like half a page of panels about the actual babysitting itself, because there's a really funny part where I guess one of the kids put yogurt inside of Peter's mask. They could have at least done that, showed us that. And then there's a big showdown at the very end with Tombstone, and Tombstone like beats up a whole lot of Crime Master's goons, but you don't see it. You see the before scene, and then you see the after scene, where it's Tombstone sitting in the back of the truck with just goons everywhere, just beat up, laying on the ground, bloody. So that was unfortunate. Tombstone's definitely the highlight of this issue, I would say, and he's cooler than he appeared to that he was going to be in issue #1. It's pretty wild that Peter's already also like beaten up and mangled. Like, I guess he has broken ribs now. Like in the beginning of issue 1, it was him recovering from the blast or whatever happened. And then now you have already in issue 2, he's already smacked up again. So I don't know. It's okay. I'll keep reading it because it's Spider-Man and it should be good. For our next honorable mention, we have Batman Fortress #1. This was okay. At first, I really did enjoy it. Started out great. Art is fantastic. The artist's name is Derek Robertson. And the plot is pretty interesting and intriguing. But then it gets derailed by a really shitty Bruce monologue that it's just not Batman. It doesn't feel or sound anything like anything Batman would ever say or has said. Basically, he says that the American dream is dead and that it may have been a lie all along, and he says that people committing crimes, they're looters, they're robbing businesses. He's saying that that's not his problem, that the company, the business owners can worry about their own profit margins or something like that. And it's like, what are you talking about? I won't be pulling issue 2. I'll probably read a digital version, but I won't be pulling #2. It's just not cool. Like, stop changing characters, man. If you want to make a new character with your, like, political agenda or something like that, do it. Make a new character. Make it unique. Make it different. Make it interesting. It can be similar to other characters, but stop, like, ruining characters because you don't agree with how they do things politically. That's so dumb. There's a funny joke in here that happens about the movie The Purge, and Batman says that, you know, he's never seen the movie because, or he didn't know that it was a movie because he doesn't get out because he's Batman. He lives in his cave and then he goes out to fight crime. I do kind of want to see like the aliens, the invaders or whatever they are, and I kind of want to see the other Justice League members because I guess he called them, Alfred called them all together so they would convene and meet. And I guess Batman's on his way to that meeting. Kind of want to see like what Justice members they use in this, and see if Superman ever actually does show up. That's another honorable mention. Basically just not good enough to make my top 10. Some questionable writing decisions. My last honorable mention is The Punisher number 3. Jason Aaron at it again. This is a week of character assassination. It's honestly interesting, and it's good, and it's compelling, but it's not Frank Castle. It's not the Punisher. You're retconning something that already exists, and you're making it out to look like Frank Castle has been this like psychopathic murderer since he was 10 years old, which he's not. Yeah, Frank Castle came home from war as a war hero and saw his family shot to death at a park and went after those people and decided to, commit his life to vengeance so that nobody else has to go through that, or that he would at least help people who go through that, right? That was Frank Castle's character. That's the Punisher. He's not a sadistic, psychopathic, murdering freak from the age of 10 who needs severe psychiatric help. He's about retribution. He's not about proactive just murder. Anyways, it was an entertaining read, and it was interesting. But Jason Aaron just completely pooped on everything that the Punisher was. So now he's a murderer, I guess. That's all he is. He's just a murderer. He's basically Michael Myers. It's like Michael Myers, but going after some not so good people instead of just randoms. So here's our top 10. At number 10, Bloodstained Teeth, number 2. So again, like the first issue, the art and the coloring, fantastic. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. So I started off reading this issue, and my first thought was, okay, so instead of killing the people that Atticus turned into vampires, why doesn't he just recruit them? And they can all join together and take down this crazy vampire, like, syndicate or whatever that, is basically telling Atticus to kill all the people that he turned. I mean, he's turned plenty of people, right? That's kind of like the premise of the whole series, I guess, is that he's turned a whole bunch of people. So why can't he just recruit those people and use them, like has his own personal army to go after the big bad sips, or the big bad vampires, right? So this issue, you basically just have a fight. It's a long fight issue where Atticus, the vampire, is fighting this MMA guy, the guy on the cover. Basically, they say that they're basically saying here that vampires are immortal, that you could kill them, but it's gonna take a lot, right? So this guy who's trained to fight is just beating the dog shit out of Atticus the entire issue, and Atticus's basic strategy is to wear him out. He basically just gets the shit beat out of him for the whole issue and wears out the MMA fighter and then kills him while he's like basically not out cold. He's not dead or in a coma or anything. He just is so tired that he like literally can't defend himself. But Atticus survived. I guess he has enough of a healing factor or whatever from whatever the vampires have. He has enough of it that he didn't die in the process, because this dude beat the tar out of him. Any human would have died, but I guess vampires are special. I don't think there's enough there for me to keep pulling this series. I'll probably keep reading digital versions of it just to keep up with the story, but not for me. Not for me. That was number 10. All right, so number 9. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, number 129. So I missed the whole Punk Frogs arc. I actually started reading it at 127, I think, or 128, I'm not sure. Like 1 or 2 issues ago. I did miss the entire Punk Frogs thing, so I don't know if what they portray in this issue has already happened in previous issues, but you see, like, basically the birth of the Punk Frogs in this issue. So let me know in the comments below if you're reading Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Let me know if you've already seen this before and they're just rehashing it, or doing the issue, or doing the whole birth of the Punk Frogs issue again, because I don't know. They go into Dr. Barlow's lab. He's this like mad scientist Frankenstein kind of guy who's, putting together he's basically using parts and pieces to make people better. That's his goal. And man, I don't know if it's the reality of it or if it's just the art style or what, but I swear that lab is just like a bad infection waiting to happen. It's so gross. I can imagine like something not happening the way it's supposed to and a bad infection breaking out or something. But here you have Venus teaching Donnie how to do the astral projection thing, and that was really cool. And you get an awesome battle with the punk frogs at their headquarters with some of the turtles who are looking for Donnie and the others. It's pretty cool. I liked it. I'm probably going to continue this series because it's a lot of fun. And yeah, I think we all need that. We need that fun back in our comics, because lately, aside from a few things, it's mostly just like character assassination or political agendas or, you know, stuff like that. There's nothing like that in here. It's just straight up Turtles fun, and I appreciate that. All right, and number 8. Deathstroke Inc. Number 9. This is part 6 of the Shadow War. Conveniently, I have it before the next part, so that's nice. I can't believe Respawn is dead already. Like dead apparently. That's pretty crazy. You have Slade asking Ravager if she's with him or not, and I thought that was kind of crazy. So you get Respawn, he dies, and then Deathstroke asks, you know, Ravager, "Are you with me?" To defend your brother, basically, is what he's asking. And I can't believe after all that has happened, he has the audacity to ask her that. Like, what a douche. He's such a douche. But she joins him, so that's interesting. So I guess, yeah, Ra's mother, who is the mother soul, who Talia has, like, locked away in a dungeon or something in her like, palace. She says something about a prophecy but I'm not sure exactly what she's talking about or if that's ever been touched upon. Is she talking about, she says something about Neza returning. It says, this is the same Neza as that's in World's Finest, right? This is totally different. Is this a new character that just happens to be in both series, or is this like an older character that they've talked about before? I don't know. There was a really cool Deathstroke versus Ghostmaker battle, and the art was awesome. That's pretty much this issue. There's not a whole lot that happens, but it moves the story along nicely, and the art's good. I can't complain. So that's Deathstroke number 9, and that's what I had at number 8. And then at number 7, conveniently, right after that is Robin, number 14, which is the next part 7 of the Shadow War. And this one, I don't think the art was quite as good. I think the art was better in Deathstroke. So that means, obviously, I thought the story was a lot stronger in this one, right? So you had basically Damien's reaction to Respawn being killed, and you have, the grand reveal of who the imposter Deathstroke is. And that's pretty much this issue. There's not a lot to it, but I do like the things that they touched upon, like the whole Damien Respawn thing. Damien really seemed to kind of gravitate towards Respawn once he found out that he had a brother. I thought that was neat. Yeah, so Talia kills Deathstroke in a fight, and then the imposter Deathstroke is revealed. Overall, I think it was an interesting issue. Like I said, I think a little bit better than the Deathstroke issue. I just think the story beats were a little bit better, stronger. I guess it just had more to follow up on. And I don't think it got worse. Like, I don't think the Shadow War event got worse because of that issue. I think it got slightly better. So that's why I have it, I guess, at number 7. At number 6, I have Avengers number 56. I'm surprised that I didn't absolutely hate this issue because it was Jason Aaron, and he's writing a story about Jane Foster. So I thought, well, here we go. It's going to be, another boring issue where they have this strong female character and they're like, oh, yay, women. But then they don't do anything about it. They don't do anything with her. But I didn't hate it. I do have some gripes, but it was pretty good. The art's really good. I do like the Mephistos and how they kind of tricked Jane into believing she was in this, like, alternate reality. It was entertaining, definitely interesting. But what I didn't like is Jason Aaron's social commentary about housewives. What do you know about being a housewife, Jason Aaron? Nothing. And apparently being the housewife of one of the most powerful beings in existence is such an awful thing. It was a good issue. Like, honestly, it was really good. Other than that, other than Jason Aaron's, social commentary, he's inserting his Twitter into one of the panels. But other than that, it was really strong. Like, it had solid art, solid plot, progression, cool things about Jane Foster. Alright, so yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about my number 6 pick, The Avengers number 56. Surprisingly didn't hate it. It was pretty good. Out of all the books that I picked up physical copies of, or that I did not pick up physical copies of that I read, this is probably the only one where I would be like, okay, I'd go pick this up. And that's it for Avengers 56. So now we're breaking into our top 5. And at number 5, I have Action number 1043 is my number 5. So basically, you open up this book and you're greeted by the realization that Riccardo Federici is an absolute beast with pencils. This guy is incredible and highest commendations. Like, this guy is an incredible artist. It's very detailed and just everything is really well done. Some of the best art in comics right now, for sure. So this issue's kind of all over the place, even though it's really only about one thing. It's about Mongol II, who's the current Mongol of Warworld right now, and it's about his invasion of this other planet where he enslaves them all, and they are currently slaves on Warzone. Basically, that's what this issue's about. So they're kind of just spinning their wheels again, and it seems like they're just delaying a conclusion here. But it's good stuff. You get good Mongol backstory stuff in here, and I can't complain, really. It's not the best, like, story-driven issue out there, even of Action, but it's decent, and I'm glad the backstory of Martian Manhunter seems to be over, and now they have a backstory that's actually related to, the main story now. So that's good. Good stuff. It's almost like I was calling for that the last few issues of Action. I just wanted more action and less of the Martian Manhunter backstory. Alright, so that's it for that. And then at number 4... Ice Cream Man, issue number 30. So this is actually my very first Ice Cream Man issue. I picked it up because I saw that very soon there's a Ice Cream Man hardcover deluxe edition coming out. And I was like, do I need to pick that up? I don't know, because I don't know anything about Ice Cream Man. So I picked this issue up, and I do understand that it's like, kind of an anthology where each story is standalone, kind of tells an overarching story in a way, but each issue can be read, by itself. So I had no hesitation, just jumping in at number 30 and saying, hey, let's see what Ice Cream Man has to offer, because I've heard only positive things. The first thing I noticed is the doctor in the book has like some really creepy eyes. I don't know why necessarily that I made a note of that, even I guess because I hadn't read it yet. That's like nothing compared to some of the stuff that happens in this book. So I really don't know what to say as a whole about the issue. Like, was it creepy? Yeah. Was it thought-provoking? Yeah. And it was entertaining too. Like, I was flipping the pages. The art's solid, and the story was interesting enough. I wasn't bored for a single second of this issue. I just don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I'll probably give Ice Cream Man number 31 a shot and see from there, because I have a feeling that it was just this particular issue that kind of lost me at the end. It went from interesting story to a thought-provoking twist at the end to like this place where I was like, I don't even care about the thought-provoking part anymore. It just doesn't make sense anymore. Maybe I'm stupid, but that was number 30 for me of Ice Cream Man, and I have that, even though it was the first time I ever read an Ice Cream Man issue, I have it at number 4, so it wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. All right, and now we have our number 3. Hulk number 7. Yeah, this is part 3 of the Banner of War. This issue was basically Donny Cates just taking Thor action figure and taking Hulk action figure and smashing them together, and then looking back into his toy box and saying, ooh, here's this giant Iron Man action figure. And then he smashes that into Hulk, and then somehow he gets broken, I guess, and then he's laying on the floor. But yeah, issue was super fun, super dope. The art's incredible, and Hulk is just too much for everyone to handle. He exploded, they said, with the power of 3,000 gamma bombs. Yeah, Donny Cates and Martin Coccolo, I guess. They went full kid in a candy shop in this issue. That's all I can really say. And then you get a nice ending, a nice conclusion there. And I'll go ahead and say Thor Smash. At number 2, we have Rogue Sun number 4. So you get this cool new villain. He feeds on souls. Some high school drama stuff that actually was not bad. It was actually pretty good. And kind of goes back into the previous issues of Rogue Sun, where Dylan was a complete douchebag, and he's kind of going through a redemption arc, and that's what the high school drama stuff was about. It wasn't just like mindless high school drama stuff. In this issue, you have Dylan trying to like learn how to use his newer abilities, or not newer abilities, learn how to use his abilities, and you have his father kind of like his apparition of his father via the suit, trying to like coach him through it and teach him how to use some of those abilities. They tell you who the demon's name is. It's Demonica. And then you get, at the end, kind of a showdown between the two of them. And it's interrupted by Dylan's mom, who is like a crusader-looking superhero, apparently. So, apparently, Rogue Sun wasn't alone in his superhero battles. It was, and when I say Rogue Sun, I meant his father. Apparently, his ex-wife was also a superhero. So that's pretty cool. Kind of even further explains maybe why he chose Dylan to carry the legacy of Rogue Sun. Because it's, I guess, in his blood, you know, with his mom also being a superhero. Pretty cool issue. Really, really enjoyed it. And it almost had pick of the week for me. But my pick of the week was Batman Beyond the White Knight, book number 3. There's really only one gripe I had about this book. At the very beginning, you have Terry in the suit, in the red suit, the Batman Beyond suit, and he gets coffee splashed on him when he's doing like a stealth mission, and the coffee completely like breaks down the stealth system, I guess, of his suit. And it doesn't work anymore, and it reveals him. I feel like Bruce would not have had the oversight that water or liquids would ruin the stealth system of the suit. So is it something specific about coffee that he didn't know, or is it just straight up that the Batman Beyond suit stealth system wouldn't have worked in the rain? Kind of weird. Other than that, I really, really enjoy all the character interactions, all the way from Barbara Gordon to the Joker to Harley Quinn Harley Quinn's very interesting in this. So you get Bruce's prototype suit, and it looks freaking sweet. It looks really awesome. He says it's not as powerful as the Batman Beyond suit, but that it'll be okay, because he's Bruce. And the only thing, it did bug me, he painted the bat symbol on his chest was yellow, and he painted over it, made it black. So it's got like a more black on black feel. But I thought it looked cool with the yellow bat. For some reason he decided that he wanted to paint over it. So I think that should have stayed, but that's kind of a very small gripe about the cosmetics of Batman's suit, so who cares? You get a Bruce and Terry showdown for, a second, and then you get an introduction of Duke. What's his last? I can't remember what his last name is. He's working with Dick Grayson at the GCD. He shows up as Robin, so that's pretty cool. I guess he's been Robin before, but I mean, I'm pretty new to comics, so I didn't know. But he looks cool in his Robin suit, and yeah, it's just a really, really strong issue. It has great art and really cool character development and awesome, like, plot-driven, plot development and character interactions and stuff like that. It's just really good, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than the first two issues of Batman Beyond the White Knight, and I feel like maybe that's because I'm just getting a little more involved in the series, and I'm understanding a little bit more. So, after this series is over, though, I'm definitely going to have to go back and read some of the other Batman White Knight stuff, or maybe just have to read this series again at least. Other than that, that was my top 10, and yeah, let me know down in the comments below what were some of your favorite books of the week, and make sure to like and put a D in my subscribe. And other than that, until next time.